Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some incredibly fun battles in the Great League, featuring a triple Shadow Shiny team and Hurricane SHIFTRY. These battles were submitted to the channel by a fellow content creator, Callum on Toast, so many thanks for the battle submission. The team features Shadow Alolan Marowak on the lead, Hurricane Shadow SHIFTRY as the safe switch, and Shadow Venusaur as the closer. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the triple Shadow Shiny team in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a terrible lead, Shadow Alolan Marowak into Bastiodon, save switch into Shadow SHIFTRY, and the opponent responds with MEDICHAM. This is not good whatsoever. MEDICHAM able to reach the power-up punch, barely not enough to KO, and SHIFTRY goes straight for the Hurricane. Do they respect the damage? They do not, and down goes MEDICHAM. In the back, the opponent has a Shadow Victory Bell, which now gets to be aligned onto the Alolan Marowak. But the unfortunate thing is that even after taking out the MEDICHAM and winning switch advantage, it's still going to be an uphill battle to try and take out the Bastiodon. Overfarms a ton with Alolan Marowak, shields the Acid Spray, and is going to be firing off the Shadow Bone. Shadow Bone takes down that Victory Bell. In comes Venusaur into the Bastiodon. Shadow Venusaur at an energy disadvantage here, and down a shield as well, which is a little unfortunate. Fires off the Frenzy Plant, gets the shield, and Bastiodon has the Flamethrower. Venusaur has to commit the final shield, and hopefully should be able to make it to 2 more Frenzy Plants before Bastiodon is able to make it to the next Flamethrower. Because if Venusaur is able to land the Frenzy Plant here and grab the shield, then the Alolan Marowak does have that Shadow Bone loaded, and Venusaur is able to get there. Frenzy Plant gets the shield, Bastiodon goes for the farm down, but Alolan Marowak is going to win CMP. Shadow Bone taking down the Bastiodon, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a terrible lead, Shadow Alolan Marowak into Shadow Swampert. Safe switch into the SHIFTRY. Opponent brings in Shadow Drapion. SHIFTRY with the energy lead gets to the Hurricane. Can we see a second Hurricane land? Yes, we can! Drapion gets absolutely one-shot. In comes Cresselia, and SHIFTRY is not done. Going for the Leaf Blade. It's only neutral, but it still does half of Cresselia's HP. I believe this is only going to be a Grass Knot. This may be a Shadow SHIFTRY, but Shadow SHIFTRY able to tank that like a champion, go for another Leaf Blade, and if Cresselia doesn't shield here, this is going to take them out. Down goes Cresselia, in comes Shadow Swampert. SHIFTRY looking for the sweep, goes for the Leaf Blade, gets the shield, and at this point, Venusaur can very safely clean up this game, shields the potential Earthquake, it's the Earthquake, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, picking up a great lead, Shadow Alolan Marowak into Superior. Opponent save switches into a Shadow Swampert, which is immediately countered with the Shadow Venusaur. Venusaur can very safely shield once in case of the Earthquake, farm down, and leave with a ton of energy to threaten the Superior if they bring it back in. Opponent recognizes that, and they bring in their final Pokemon, which is Skarmory. Unfortunately, Skarmory is a hard wall to Venusaur. Venusaur is only going to be able to hit for double resisted here, but even a double resisted Frenzy Plant from a Shadow Venusaur still does a ton of damage. Venusaur falls just short of getting to the third. But things are actually looking a bit rough here, because this Skarmory is loaded on energy, and it has shield advantage. In comes the Shadow Alolan Marowak, calls the Sky Attack, it is the Sky Attack, and is going to be going for the Shadow Bone. Shadow Bone would be taking out the Skarmory here, but Skarmory has a lot of energy, so they are going to be committing the shield. This is a tough spot to be in. He's going to let it go and trust in the Shadow SHIFTRY. These air slashes tearing through SHIFTRY. SHIFTRY able to farm down. In comes the Superior, and he's going straight for the Hurricane. Can a third one land? Yes, it can! And that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a bit of a tough lead, Shadow AWAC into Galarian Stunfisk. Save switches into the Shadow SHIFTRY, and the Stunfisk is staying in. SHIFTRY can tank one Rock Slide, but it is going to be doing a ton of damage. Able to absorb it, overfarming quite a bit, and fires off the Leaf Blade. 2 Leaf Blades will be enough to KO the Stunfisk. Stunfisk lets the first through, and SHIFTRY is at another. Stunfisk is a tough call to make. They decide to let the Stunfisk go, and in comes Pelipper. Pelipper goes for the farm down, but SHIFTRY had so much energy, able to reach a third Leaf Blade, and grab a shield. Pelipper is honestly a very tough Pokemon for this team to handle, as it can hit the entire team for super effective. Brings in the Shadow Venusaur. Opponent goes for the catch onto their own Venusaur, which is going to be met with the Shadow Alolan Marowak. That Pelipper does have a ton of energy in the back, but at the very least, he does have the alignment that he wants. He's going straight for the Shadow Bone. This is not going to be enough to KO the Venusaur, but it is going to get the Venusaur quite low. AWAC able to farm down. In comes Pelipper. Pelipper looking for the wing attack down, but they're not going to be able to get it. Shadow Bone is going to do massive damage, taking down the Pelipper, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Shadow AWAC into Trevenant. Opponent safe switches into a Galarian Stunfisk, which is going to be met with the Shadow Shiftry. Shiftry is just incredibly spammy, making it very deadly in this matchup as we've seen. Shiftry just very safely no-shields the first Rock Slide, and then the onslaught of Leaf Blades begins. Goes for the first, able to land it, and gonna be firing off the second Leaf Blade as well. G-Fisk has to shield this if they want to get off a move, which they do. G-Fisk overfarms, fires off a Rock Slide. Shiftry is going to be committing the shield because Shiftry will be able to outpace here and reach the Leaf Blade. Does G-Fisk want to give up that final shield? They do. They really want to get rid of the Shiftry if at all possible, and he's actually going to let the Shiftry go and basically just take his shield advantage, because now he can bring in Shadow Venusaur, and Shadow Venusaur with an energy lead is incredibly deadly. Shields up, it is just the Rock Slide, able to farm down the Stunfisk and leave with a massive amount of energy. If the opponent brings in the Trevenant is in a very rough spot, and they concede the match. Hopping into the next match, leading Shadow Alolan Marowak into another Trevenant. Opponent is going to save switch, this time into a Walrein, and this is honestly a bit tricky. This team doesn't have a great response to a Walrein save switch, because Walrein with energy is incredibly deadly. Able to land the Shadow Bone, gets the defense drop, and the opponent is going to fire off a move. Respects the Earthquake, but unfortunately gets baited with an Icicle Spear. AWAC firing off another Shadow Bone onto the Walrein. Opponent is going to be committing the shield, and they're firing off another move. Tough call to make. Marowak gives up the final shield, and that ends up working out really nicely because the opponent went straight for the Earthquake. This is only going to be an Icicle Spear. AWAC's going to be able to tank this, farm down, and leave with quite a lot of energy. Looks like there is a little bit of lag there. Unfortunately, opponent does get the third shield glitch. You absolutely hate to see it. AWAC still would have been able to survive the move, but just not on quite as much health. Back in comes Trevenant. Shadow Bone is going to be doing massive damage. Trevenant forced to commit the shield. Brings in Shiftry. I'm not sure if the opponent has lagged out here or if they are just conceding the match. It looks like they're still battling. In the back, they have Swampert, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a terrible lead, Shadow AWAC into Sableye. He safe switches into the soft counter, which is Shadow Venusaur, and the opponent responds with Bastiodon. With an energy lead, Shadow Venusaur can put in a lot of work versus Bastiodon, but unfortunately is not able to flip the 2-shield just because of how much damage these smackdowns end up doing. Venusaur fires off the second Frenzy Plant on what appears to be a CMP tie. Bastiodon shields up, but this Bastiodon is still quite healthy, so Venusaur is going to commit the shield to try and do as much damage as possible. The Shadow Vine Whips are adding up quite a bit as well. Venusaur only going to be able to get to one move, fires off the Frenzy Plant, hoping for the no shield, but the opponent does commit the shield. Bastiodon able to farm down, and Bastiodon is very close to a move. Do you sack the Marowak here? No, he brings in the Shiftry, switches into the Marowak, trying to catch the Flamethrower. He catches the Flamethrower. What a play. In comes Sableye. Sableye barely able to outpace the Marowak and fire off the foul play. But now it's all up to Shiftry. Shiftry has an energy lead, and Shiftry has shield advantage. Shiftry going to massively overfarm in this matchup, committing the final shield here. At this point, if you're Shiftry, you just farm up to 100 energy, fire off the Leaf Blade, and then hope that with an energy lead, you're able to close out the match. Leaf Blade takes out the Sableye. We know they have the pretty low health Bastiodon. What is the final Pokemon? It is Medicham, and this is about to be a sad Medicham. Goodbye, Medicham. In comes Bastiodon. Shiftry able to reach the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will be taking out the Bastiodon. Shiftry able to farm down the 1 HP Medicham, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Shadow AWAC into Shadow Walrein. If you're going to see the Walrein anywhere, probably best to catch it with the Marowak, because at the very least, the Walrein has to farm up to an Earthquake to do any meaningful damage. Shadow Bone does big damage onto the Walrein. Walrein does have enough for the Earthquake. Marowak is going to respect it. Walrein does go for the Icicle Spear bait, which is quite unfortunate, and they're able to reach a last-second move. This could be enough for the Earthquake. Marowak is going to double shield and farm down. Opponent brings in Trevenant, but bringing Trevenant into a loaded Alolan Marowak is a dangerous game as they get hit with a move. Oh my goodness, they called the Bone Club, it was the Shadow Bone, and now they're in a very tough spot, but there is Medicham lurking in the back, and Medicham is pretty scary for the back line. Shadow Bone able to get the shield from Medicham, aggressive switch into the Shadow Venusaur, basically just to force the Medicham to throw energy. Medicham goes for the Psychic, that's going to be taking out the Venusaur, and honestly, Leaf Blade from SHIFTRY would come pretty close to KOing here, but he's going to bring in the Alolan Marowak. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping into the final match, picking up a tough lead, Shadow AWAC into Azumarill. Safe switches into the Shadow Venusaur, and the opponent responds with a Shadow Alolan Marowak of their own. So this is looking like it could be the Azumarill double ghost line, and if it is Sableye in the back, then 2-shield Shadow SHIFTRY is going to be able to put in an incredible amount of work. Very nice timing by the opponent, firing off the Bone Club just before he was able to reach the second Frenzy Plant. He's going to bring in his own Alolan Marowak, and I think at this point you just have to let it go. Shadow Bone will do massive damage, barely able to hang on, and it's a simultaneous KO. And now it is 2-shield Shadow SHIFTRY versus the world. Is it the Sableye in the back? It is. SHIFTRY is going to need to massively overfarm to have a chance to win this match. I think you just kind of have to shield everything in this matchup. Sableye goes for the foul play. SHIFTRY farms up to the back-to-back Leaf Blades and is firing off the first. Leaf Blade gets the shield from Sableye, overfarms, goes for a second, and the opponent catches onto Azumarill. But that honestly works out perfectly fine. Able to land the Leaf Blade, SHIFTRY overfarms massively and is firing off another Leaf Blade. This is going to be taking out the Azu if they let it through. They do commit the shield. And now SHIFTRY can farm up 5 Snarls, fire off the Leaf Blade to KO the Azumarill, and then should be very close to the Hurricane to take out the Sableye. SHIFTRY has an incredible amount of energy here. Leaf Blade takes down the Azu, bring back in the Sableye, able to reach the Hurricane. Hurricane will be taking down the Sableye, and that is a good game. All in all, some incredibly fun battles featuring the triple Shadow Shiny team, and of course the star of the show, Hurricane SHIFTRY. Running surprise nukes on Pokemon is definitely some of my favorite battles to see, and seeing that Hurricane land again and again and again was absolutely incredible. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is incredibly appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.